Mia and Alexander, how you both doing today?
Wonderful.
Fantastic.
Fantastic. Lovely to hear it. Tough one, maybe, to start off with. What is your favorite scary movie of all time?
The Shining.
A
Dumb and
classic.
Dumber.
Unexpected.
Presently scary.
I mean,
If you're high.
Oh, I was going to say there definitely is room for an edit where there could be a horror version of Dumb and
Yeah,
Dumber out
yeah,
there.
yeah.
But
The X-rated version.
yeah, but I guess just getting high will fix that for you anyway. So that's that. When you get a script for a movie like Infinity Pool, I'm curious, how much does your imagination have to fill in some blanks? Because when I was sitting there and watching it, it's so beautifully visual to the point where I was thinking it's impossible for some of this stuff to just be written on the page. So when you're handed the script, like how much trust do you have to give over to go, I know this is going to look pretty cool?
Obviously, trust your director. Absolutely. The script was descriptive and it was very clear on the page what type of movie Brandon wanted to make. And having seen his previous films, I knew that it was going to be very graphic and in your face and not shy away from anything. And from the very first conversations we had, Brandon laid out his vision and explained the different sequences and how he wanted to tell this story. And so there were really no surprises, and nothing is done in post. So what you're seeing is actually what we saw when we shot the sequences. It's all Brandon loves a tactile feeling of prosthetics rather than visual effects. So everything was done in camera on set. So of course, watching it cut together with that beautiful score by Tim Hecker was a different experience than shooting it. I definitely felt that I knew what I was getting myself into and what type of movie it was going to be, and how Brandon wanted to tell the story.
I find that its arrival is almost serendipitous because I was speaking to Brandon just before this, and he said there's a vibe in Hollywood where it feels like the 90s genre of erotic thriller, adult thriller, is actually starting to make a comeback. And I in this movie, as you mentioned, it is quite graphic and it is quite aimed towards adults, but there's also like this weird backlash online of people not wanting to see explicit sex stuff in their movies and shows anymore. So I'm wondering, from your perspective, have you noticed that it kind of turn of the tide towards people wanting a comeback of maybe more adult, more sexual thrillers, more erotic thrillers, or is the audience actually turning away from it, do you think?
If there is a turn taking place, it's probably to do with a retaliation against such censorship that is taking place. It's people are really walking such a tightrope these days over the right thing to say and the right way to express themselves, and it can be quite stifling at times. And I think if you're going to make anything of merit, if you're going to create anything, it has to be acceptable for there to be a likelihood of offending and taking risks. And if we're seeing any sort of tide change, I think it's most likely in retaliation to that, which I think is a good thing.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a good thing. Like, not every movie should be made for every audience member. And that's why I think films like this are incredibly good and important, because it's not for everyone. Not everyone's going to walk out of this and go, that was amazing. But as equally, people will walk out and go, that's the best thing I've seen all year. And I think that comes down to the fact that it is slamming against what some people think is too adult or too explicit. So I think it is important for movies like this to be made.
And that's why I also think it's important for movies like this, and really any movie, to be to be seen in a theater with a group of people. So when you're watching something on the screen and then there's an audience member next to you that finds a certain moment funny that you didn't connect with in the same way, it makes you question that experience and wonder why that they had that reaction and you didn't. And I think it's vital. I saw this movie the first time around just in my bedroom on my computer, and the experience couldn't have been more different to what it was at Sundance at a midnight screening with a packed room, and it's just you lose so much otherwise.
I agree 100%. Mia, Alexander, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
It's time to find out what kind of a creature you really are.